With NFL free agency just around the corner, we're going to make our predictions of where some of the biggest names are going to wind up for 2021 season. All right, Chris, one of the biggest names, of course, is quarterback Dak Prescott of the Cowboys. Is he still going to be the quarterback of America's team, or do you think he winds up somewhere else?
No, I do think he'll be the quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys. They're not America's team, by the way. Oh boy, we're gonna get a lot of hate. No, but I do think he'll be the quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys. I think they're either going to work out a long-term deal or they'll bite the bullet, they'll franchise tag him, and then they'll try to work out a deal during the 2021 season. But I think at least for 2021, if not farther, he will be a Dallas Cowboy.
To me, it's mind-boggling. This hasn't been settled yet, that we're still wondering if he'll be a Cowboy. There's no reason for this to even be an issue. But yeah, like Jerry Jones, there's just not many nice things we can say about him. But I don't think that he's going to make the mistake of letting him go. So I think that Prescott stays. They'll franchise him. They'll work out a deal. They'll figure it out. But I don't think he plays anywhere else, at least not this year. All right, now let's talk about running backs. Of course, these are the most important parts to any fantasy team. Are these guys going to get paid, though, to leave their current situation? Aaron Jones is the biggest name out there. Is he still a Packer, or do you think one of these other teams swoops in and ponies up to get his services?
I know I'm going to sound boring. I'm going to have like a boring start here, but I do think he will be a Green Bay Packer. Sorry to everybody who is on the A.J. Dillon hype train. I think they're going to figure it out. I think both sides want to get this figured out. It sounds like it's just coming down to guaranteed money. I feel like these two sides can figure something out that makes sense for both teams. This is a team that's been to back-to-back NFC Championship games. I don't think they want to let Aaron Jones walk. He's a key piece of that offense. I think they're going to figure it out, and he will be a Green Bay Packer.
Well, no surprise here. There's a lot of teams that are interested, or at least showing interest initially. How serious that gets, we don't know. But one of those teams happens to be the Dolphins. Supposedly, there's mutual interest here. I think the Packers do want to keep him, but I also think they're going to do it if it makes sense for them. They do have A.J. Dillon, who they drafted for a reason. If they keep Jamal Williams, they don't need Aaron Jones. Obviously, they're a better team with him, but still, money is money. And if it comes down to it and Jones sticks to his guns, he wants to get paid elsewhere, there's a lot of teams that would be willing to do it. And we've seen a lot of running backs just follow the money. So I wouldn't be surprised. I know there's maybe some homerism here, hoping that the Dolphins pay up for him. I think it could happen. So I'm going to kind of stick my neck out and say that's what happens right now. Now, another guy who it's hard to imagine him leaving Seattle, but Chris Carson kind of became a fan favorite there, kind of a Pete Carroll favorite. But again, the situation here, they have Rashad Penny, who is now healthy, and they might not want to pay to keep Chris Carson around. Do you think that they do that?
No, I really don't. I just don't think they have the money to pay Chris Carson what he's going to want. I do think he's going to leave in free agency, and I'm predicting that he goes to the 49ers with Kyle Shanahan, which A, would not only be great for his fantasy value, but B, we've seen that Kyle Shanahan and the 49ers have no problems throwing money at running backs. They threw money at Jerick McKinnon. They threw money at Tevin Coleman. Chris Carson, he's a very underrated pass catcher in the NFL. He's a very good pass catcher. He fits that 49ers offense perfectly. I feel like Chris Carson's going to be a 49er in 2021.
Oh, that would be a fantasy player's dream. That's, we've seen so many running backs there. Guys like Jeff Wilson just break out because Shanahan knows what he's doing offensively. So that would be kind of a dream scenario. I'm going to predict that he does leave. I think there's a very small chance he stays in Seattle, but I think a team that maybe not as exciting, but more realistic is the Falcons. Look, the Falcons are done with Gurley, and they really don't have anything else. They're not going to invest a high draft pick in a running back. They have a lot of other needs, plenty of other needs at defense. So Carson kind of makes sense. It's a veteran, somebody who can fit their system right away and be reliable. Look, this is a team that's not a total rebuild. Maybe they should be, but they still have Matt Ryan at quarterback. They still have Julio Jones at wide receiver. Why not go with a veteran at running back who can get by? So to me, Atlanta kind of makes the most sense. And at the very least, he'll get a lot of volume there. So it wouldn't be a bad situation either. Now let's get to wide receivers. One of the wide receivers that is high on everybody's list, Allen Robinson. Chicago could just franchise him as well, but there's a lot of teams that are interested. If he goes, where do you think he winds up?
This is tough for me because I can see a scenario where the Bears just say, screw you, we're going to franchise tag you. But I could also see a scenario where they say, okay, fine, go ahead, become a free agent. I'm going to go with free agency, and I'm going to go with the Colts. I think he's going to look at that Colts team. He has said he wants to play for a contender, and I think he's going to look at that Colts team. And sure, Carson Wentz wasn't great last year, but we've seen Carson Wentz be a very good quarterback. And I think he's going to look at that team, look at that defense, look at that situation, and say they are close to a Super Bowl team. I can go play for a contender, and I think he's going to sign with the Colts.
That would be really interesting with Carson Wentz there now. I don't know if that would be good for Allen Robinson's value, but look, that actually might wind up being the best quarterback he's ever played with. So I have the feeling the Bears do keep him. It's not going to be very exciting, but for 1 year, I think they slap that franchise tag on him and try to get by with whatever veteran quarterback that they sign, maybe a Cam Newton, somebody like that. And then after they fail to do anything in the playoffs, then they move on and he goes somewhere else. All right, let's talk about the next wide receiver, and that's going to be JuJu SmithSchuster. The Steelers are set at wide receiver, do not need him. I think there's a strong chance he plays somewhere else. The Steelers, other than Antonio Brown, he's pretty much the only wide receiver they've ever paid up to keep, and we saw how that turned out. So who do you think, out of all the teams that could be in the market for JuJu, who do you think makes the strongest bid?
I'm going to be a homer here, and I think it's going to be my football team. I think JuJu is the perfect fit for the Washington football team. You've already got Terry McLaurin on the outside. You need that consistent inside slot receiver, and JuJu can do it. And I think the football team, they're looking to spend money. They're looking to put together a contender right away. I think he'd be a perfect fit there in Washington. I think JuJu's going to Washington.
Definitely a team that could use a number 2 wide receiver. The Dolphins could also use another receiver to pair with Devontae Parker. Had almost nothing there. Teams in that division too, the Patriots desperately need a wide receiver. I don't know if he fits there. Same thing with the Jets. They just have too many other needs, especially a running back. I think I'm going to go a little outside the box here. I think the Raiders make a strong play. That just seems to be a fit there. Look, JuJu, he kind of wants to be in the limelight. I think we know that. And the Raiders are a team that want to contend. They've been looking to add a receiver through the draft. Didn't completely pan out, so I wouldn't be surprised if he's a Raider. Let's talk about Kenny Golladay. Again, Detroit in a rebuild. Hard to imagine that they're going to pay to keep him. Do you think that happens, or does he go somewhere else?
I think he goes somewhere else. Where he goes, that's the tough thing here. There's a lot of teams that need wide receivers. The Giants were trying to trade for him at the trade deadline, but would Kenny Golladay willingly go to the Giants? I'm not so sure. This is tough for me. I mean, I could see him going to Raiders, Dolphins. I'm going to give Kenny Golladay to the Raiders. I'm going to say he's that Raider receiver, that exciting outside receiver that the Raiders love. I'm going to say Kenny Golladay goes to the Raiders.
All right, well, I already have JuJu going to the Raiders, so I'm going to put Kenny Golladay to the Jets because they're going to need to make a splash somewhere. They're going to, kind of whiff on those other guys that they want, like Robinson and JuJu. So I think Golladay becomes their plan B. And then Chris Godwin, I'll just come out and say I don't see him going another place. But do you think that maybe somebody else pays up for him? Do you think there's any reason for him to want out of Tampa?
I mean, he could want out of Tampa if he wants to get paid, because it's unlikely with the cap and with the other players that Tampa Bay needs to re-sign, they're going to be able to give him what he wants. But what I think is going to happen is they're going to franchise tag him for 1 more year and then try to figure it out again next year, hopefully. I don't think they're going to let him walk, especially with Tom Brady. This is a team trying to win right now every year. So I do think he will be a Tampa Bay Buccaneer, whether it's worked out in a contract, but more than likely through the franchise tag.
Yeah, I don't see Godwin going, like I said. I mean, why would he want to leave? He's got the best quarterback in probably the history of the NFL throwing to him. They just won a Super Bowl, and the Bucs are riding high. They'll probably give all their players whatever they want. So yeah, Godwin is staying put. And let's finish with Will Fuller, guy we thought might get traded, didn't. Who knows what Houston is doing these days? It would make sense if they re-sign him, which means they probably won't. So where is Will Fuller going to play next year?
I actually do think they're going to re-sign him. I think they're going to pay him way too much money because they want to show Deshaun Watson that, hey, look, we've got your back. We're going to keep these guys here for you. I don't think it's going to work. I think Deshaun Watson is still going to be like, no, I'm out of here. But I think the Texans are going to throw a bunch of money at Will Fuller as like a last gasp effort. Like, look, we're serious about keeping this team together, even though it won't work.
Yeah, I think that ship has sailed. Look, Deshaun Watson probably doesn't care who they sign or what they do. He wants out. So I think Watson forces their hand. He gets dealt, which means they'll say, well, we might as well start over here. I think Fuller gets dealt or doesn't get re-signed. I think the Patriots maybe say this could be our guy without having to pay too much for one of those other receivers. So I'm going to predict New England for Will Fuller. All right, plenty more free agency to talk about. All these moves we're going to cover and break down, especially once they happen. So don't miss a thing. Hit that subscribe button. Catch all our offseason NFL content. All right, thanks for watching.